The day darkness came to Cincinnati. I met this guy years ago over MySpace. This was back in the MySpace days. This guy, his nickname was Darkness, and this guy was really into the goth scene. He had come from California to Cincinnati because of this girl that he had met over the internet. He really fell in love with her and wanted to be with her. So he took a bus to Cincinnati, and he had to actually be homeless and live on the streets for a little bit. I wasn't able to take him in because I was living with my parents at the time. But there were times I remember started talking to this guy, and the first time we ever hung out, I actually went down and got him. He was mostly crouching down like in the Clifton area. I went down and got him and actually brought him back to Dayton. I remember the first time we ever hung out, we also hung out. We were hanging out with Tiki as well, but this was back in the day when she was with her girlfriend Steph at the time. So all four of us were hanging out. It was a pretty cool time. And there was another time that was pretty cool. Me and him went to this hookah bar down the Clifton area. I like going to hookah bars a lot. There's also a hookah bar on Patterson that me and Tiki used to go to a lot. And there was also one of my favorite hookah bars was this one that was over in West Carrollton. I can't remember. It was like I can't remember what it was called, but there was this really cool guy there. Can't really remember what his name is, but I had a lot of cool times like there. But we went to this hookah bar and sat there and smoked hookah for a little bit. And after that, we ended up going to one of his friend's house. And I accidentally parked somewhere I wasn't supposed to park, and we went in there hanging out with this guy, listening to music and stuff. I came back out and I saw my car wasn't there. My car had actually been towed, and we had to take a taxi, like wait on a taxi that night. All the taxis took like an hour, so we were waiting at this UDF for like this taxi to come. But one finally came, and I remember on the way sitting in the back of the taxi, I remember making jokes about that taxi cab confession show that used to be on like HBO way back in the day. It was kind of a funny, kind of a ridiculous show, but I remember like talking about that. And trying to think of some other things that definitely happened. There was one time me and him went to La Rosa's before. Obviously, he never ate there, but La Rosa's is a Cincinnati classic. So if you're ever in Cincinnati, you definitely got to eat at La Rosa's. Some of the funnest times I ever had with this guy, we went to this LGBTQ club. It was called the Docks. It was down near the river in Cincinnati. We would go on Thursday, which was industrial night. And I remember he'd be out like on the floor and dancing. I was kind of shy. I was like, "There's no way I could do that." But eventually, I got out there and I danced on that floor, and I enjoyed it a lot and had a lot of fun. But there was one of the last times we ever went. He didn't like the music that was being played very much, and I remember the funniest thing he ever said. There was a railroad track like outside of the club, and he didn't like the music that was being played very much that night. I remember we walked down. He was like talk about the music, and he heard this train. He's like, "That's the most industrial thing I've heard all night." I still laugh about that to this day. Um, Him and this girl though, she ended up going to college in New York, so they moved off to New York together, and they were there for a few years. The last time I talked to him, I had heard that he had actually moved back to California, and he's staying there now. But I had some really amazing, awesome times with this guy, mostly hanging out with this guy. This was like the 2009, 2010 time frame. I haven't seen him in about 7 years, but this guy Darkness was one of my best friends. And I miss this guy, and I don't really talk to him much anymore. I wish I could see him again. So, thank you for being a part of my life.